We do.
95.5B.
Breakfast Club who?
Right. Doggy of the day.
Okay, so we have gathered at my kitchen table somewhere in the south of Atlanta.
Don't worry about where it is.
We are Commntd. We are four friends who met in 2017 in a Korean entertainment club, and we all like dramas. And our first movie together was Train to Busan, and now we're here.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm Tori.
Decoria or Corey. Either one is fine.
I'm Nia.
And I'm Marin.
Karen, are you looking for the soda? It's right here on the floor as soon as you walk into the kitchen. We're at home, so we're probably going to get a lot of these little tidbits of me talking to my brother, my dog, my mother. But, enjoy the ride. So, we really like Korean dramas. We like anime. We like video games. And we decided, since March is upon us, March Madness, though none of us watch basketball.
Nope.
Not a single
I'll
one.
watch the finals occasionally, but yeah.
Oh, no. I only watch sports when celebrities are involved. So we decided that since Kingdom 2, which is a original Netflix series, if you've never heard of it, it is a Korean historical. We decided that we were going to do a recap of the first season because it's 6 episodes long and not everybody has time to watch all 6 episodes. So we're going to do a episode by episode recap with our commentary. I hope you're here for the ride. Hope you're in your car. Hope you have your earbuds plugged full 100 because we're going to be here for a while. So this will probably be broken up into 2 parts. Probably episode 1 3 for the first part and probably episode 4 to 6 for the next part. Does everybody like historicals? How do we feel about what we watch Kingdom? What was like your overall rating?
Before we get into that, I would just like to say I'm a lightweight drama watcher. I have not watched nearly as many dramas as anybody else at this table. So I just had to put that out there.
That is Corey speaking, yes.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I thought it was, I don't know. I don't watch a lot. I've watched 4 in total. But I was like, oh, okay. So just the trailer itself caught my attention. So I was like, we're gonna have to watch it. And it was only 6 episodes. I have time.
Yeah.
Now me and Nia,
I think we're on another level.
we're on another level. Historicals is where the love is at. It's where the crying is at. It's
Yeah.
where the oh.
Yeah, I when I first got into K-dramas, what really turned me into a fan was the historicals. I watched Jangum or Jewel in the Palace, and I was like, 60 episodes, and they all are good.
Yes.
That changed me. So then after that, I went on like a binge of historicals. So I think me and Tori have kind of like
That's where we was at. I'm especially like into Chinese historicals. We'll get into that on another podcast, but So yeah, you ready for the first step?
Yeah.
Let's jump in. Okay, so episode 1, Palace. The intro of the first episode, we are bringing the king back to life. So if you watch first of all, can we just make sure that the Kingdom cast and crew, if you're listening, I know you're not. I would translate this into Korean, but I'm not going to. But I skip intros for Netflix series.
Me too.
After you watch it the first time, and I swear to God, I don't remember the beginning of this, but they show you exactly how they turn the king into a zombie. The intro of every episode, they crush a flower, they pour it over salt, whatever that it was, at his mouth, and yeah. So this is episode 1. We have the doctor and his assistant is brought to the king's room. You must never look inside the king's bedchambers, he says. Of course, he looks inside the king's bedchambers and dies.
I wrote right here. I said, damn, son, he told you not to look into the king's chambers.
And then I literally wrote, why would he tell the servant boy to never look inside the king's bedchamber, but have him serve food directly to the chamber?
Exactly.
Like,
Was it blood? Is it medicine? I don't know what was in there. That is like
I thought
the
it
zombies
was blood
eat
and it
flesh.
made no sense.
That makes no sense. Okay. The doctor sits there with a O face. Watches his assistant get eaten. All right, now we're in the capital. There's a flyer going around that says the king is dead. A new wind will blow. Enter Commander Joe. He orders the troops to capture all those who have posted the signs and then proceeds to behead 2 of the soldiers.
This horrible man. I've never immediately heads were rolling, and I was like, We've just started. It's been 5 minutes, sir. Can you let us?
Wait. Who did he behead?
2 soldiers
Two
for no reason.
soldiers.
I think he beheaded them. The rationale is that he beheaded them because they let the posters get put up on the wall.
Like it's their fault. Like they're just going about their day. See, this is why I was just like, this drama's a little different because it's 5 minutes and several people have already died.
Right. All right, so the Haewon Joe clan and the people start rounding up soldiers. We find out that the king has been sick with smallpox for the last 10 days. Only the queen and the chief state counselor, who is Lord Joe, has been allowed to see him. The Joe clan is torturing scholars looking for answers. Forced confession.
I said in all caps, it's always the educated who get killed because they speak the truth. I was like,
They hated Jesus for telling the truth.
The scholars talks about how the Joe clan are being the real traitors. Enter our villain, Lord Joe. So then we cut back to the palace of the crown prince kneeling in front of the king's quarters. Enter the queen. Parentheses. He looks much younger than the crown prince.
She's a whole child.
I said, do you talk about how she like talks about the lack of respect
that
she's giving him?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
The CP wants to see the queen. Queen says no under the guise of protecting him. Calls herself his mother. Asks him if he hates her or her unborn son, aka his half sibling. Tells him to leave. As soon as she does, it starts to rain.
Exactly.
I
Dramatics.
literally said, I wrote notes, this woman can be no older than the age of 25, yet you're referring to yourself as mother?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Of who?
I said, girl, you half his age.
You
Like,
half. You
gotta
cannot
half
be
him.
older than this man.
Exactly.
I would love to see what the source material says about the ages of everyone. To see their actual age difference. Because the actor and the actress, no.
He looks a whole 20 years older. He has a solid 401k.
All right. And then so we have the crown prince heads back to his quarters but stops halfway and decides to go see his father. But his servants stop him because of the queen's orders. CB questions his servants' intentions with a grand music playing in the background. The crown prince then goes to his library and calls for his head of security. Enter Muyang. CP throws a tantrum, complains about his plight, then asks Muyang for a favor. Muyang says, "It's not sneaking into the king's chamber, is it, fool?" Of course it isn't. The crown prince commands him to bring the journal of the royal
The physician.
the royal hospital. Muyang says no, and then the crown prince threatens him with all the food that he has stolen from him to bring his wife, who just got pregnant after 10 years. CP bribes him with beef pancakes, and Muyang falls for it. While Muyang is out stealing the journal, what does our crown prince do? He sneaks into his father's quarters.
First of all, sneaking into his hold on.
Okay.
Sneaking into his quarters in all that fabric. This man is he's got so
covered-
much on.
covered in fabric.
He's just
He
walking
gotta
around.
make, you know, he
He's
gotta be
dressed in
swagged
silk.
out at all times.
Yes, but
Drip.
he was quiet on his feet. I will give him that. With
Yeah.
that much on, you did not hear his footsteps at all.
Right.
All right. While hiding from the guards, he overhears someone reporting to him that the king is missing. The crown prince enters the room in the hallway and in right horror fashion, hears and sees the silhouette of a monster. Then the lights go out and the monster disappears with no sound or struggle. Commander Joe then finds the crown prince and denies what he saw, gaslighting. Then, then as he attends escorts. Oh, he asked the attendants to escort the CP out of the palace before leaving. The crown prince asks a leading question: "Have you found the king?" Commander evades him. The crown prince demands to see the king, storms towards the door when the commander draws a sword on him.
When it got to that part, I was like, you're really gonna draw your sword at the crown prince? Like, y'all have gotten really bold.
Obviously.
I was
Yeah.
just like,
Obviously,
what?
Exactly.
the power dynamic.
Yeah,
Ooh.
you can tell
Yeah.
immediately there's
there was-
not a balance. There's
Yeah.
no balance.
There was one point in the drama, because this is like a historical, I was like, why is everyone talking with some extra bass in their voice? like the king, the crown prince, I understand, because he has to, like, I don't know, set like authority or something. But I was like, everyone's just out here just a little
They
lower,
don't
little
respect
lower.
that man at
No.
all.
They
Like,
don't.
you are the crown. You have no respect, but you're the crown prince.
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah.
The Haewon clan rules that palace.
Yes.
Like they are running it.
Yeah. And so then the crown prince demands to see the king. The commander draws a sword. He enters the room to find Lord Chor there, but the king is not there. Lord Joe excuses the crown accuses the crown prince of pretending to be worried for his father while plotting treason, aka the posters from earlier. Lord Joe then tells the crown prince that his father's illness has gotten better and that he's at the queen's palace. He even bows to him before he leaves. So then we cut back to the crown prince's library. Mu-young has successfully stolen the royal journal from the hospital. The journal reveals that the royal infirmary wasn't successful in treating the king's illness, and there were only 2 entries of the 10 days that the king has been sick. The crown prince thinks everything is sus, as he should. Mu-young then points out that the doctor's name, who is a doctor that is retired a few years ago, crown prince rashly decides to go visit the doctor outside of the capital for answers. Mu-young tries to persuade him not to because, of course, the queen. But the crown prince points out that the queen forbade him to see his father not to leave the palace. Cut to Dongnae. Cut to Dongnae, a small village in the mountains where this retired doctor is residing. We enter a hospital that has no food to feed its patients. Enter our 2 main characters, one a nurse, Sobi, and the other an injured patient, Youngshin. The 2 argue about the bad food. Sobi is like, you have to eat it because these people are sick, and Youngshin's like, this shit is disgusting.
Like he immediately complained, and I was like, sir, we don't even know who you are, and you're complaining. Scene 1, like, she's just trying to do her job.
Right.
Let the girl work.
The patient, Youngshin, asks after Dr. Lee. He says he's supposed to be the best. That's why I came to see him. The nurse tells him if he would just shut up, his wound would heal quickly, and tells him to leave. Nurse 1, rude patient 0. Just at the right time, Dr. Lee returns with a coffin containing the body of his dead assistant. He doesn't explain anything. It just tells everyone to prepare for a funeral. Everyone opens the coffin to find the assistants.
Why? Why are you opening the?
That's what I was thinking too.
Coffin? Why?
What did you want to? What did you expect to
Well,
see?
they're nurses and doctors. Maybe they were just like.
But it was the patients, weren't they the ones that?
Some of the villagers are the ones who opened it. It's
Yeah.
understandable if the nurse opened it privately just to check the wounds, but why are you villagers opening the coffin to see the dead body? Like, you want to see the dead body? Is that what you want? Like,
Yeah, I guess in those days you're bored, so you're like, ooh, a dead body.
like, oh, that's exciting. Like,
The dead body in horrible shape. The nurse runs and asks Dr. Lee to tell her what happened. Dr. Lee, nothing happened.
This man was emotionally scarred. Like, his face looked like
Traumatized.
he was traumatized.
Right. So we cut back to Hanyang, the capital, where Lord Joe and the rest of the officers were planning on how to punish the crown prince for treason. Come to find out that none of the 89 scholars admitted to treason, but there was intel from a secret insider who says there is evidence of treason, an agreement between the crown prince with his signature on it.
Isn't this the scene where the Lord Cho comes in and slams the guy's head on the table? I was like, oh, he a different kind of evil.
a different
He
breed.
said, your face.
Yeah, one officer who thinks this is BS to accuse scholars of treason on the word of one person. Lord Joe says that the scholars have never done anything for the nation. When the one good officer, who is the chief scholar, says Lord Joe is overdoing it, Lord Cho then slams his head on the table in front of all the
Slams
officers.
his head on the table.
Then he commands for the crown prince and for him to be brought in. Of course, when they go to the palace, he is not there. Commander Joe, not Lord Joe. Commander Joe, dude who beheaded people.
so this is the evil guy, the main evil guy's son.
Yes. Resorts to violence, chops a eunuch's top knot off. When they respond, they don't know. A maid tells him they don't really know. The commander turns to leave, but not before killing the eunuch.
For no
For
reason.
no
For,
reason.
for
No
no
reason.
reason at all.
For no reason.
All right, we're somewhere in the capital. Crown Prince and Mu-young are in the capital. They ask the orderly from the rural infirmary where Dr. Lee is and find out that the doctor has already left, saying that his assistant that was with him became sick. When asked about the symptoms, was it smallpox, the orderly tells him no. He had deep wounds as if he'd been attacked by a beast. As the Crown Prince and Mu-young head back to the palace, the Crown Prince decides to go to Dongnae rashly. Mu-young tells him the journey is too long. He doesn't need to run away from Lord Joe. Can't blame him for something he doesn't do. Then the Crown Prince admits to signing the pact with the scholars, an act of treason. He talks about being worried and wanting to live, and that how he could be in danger if the queen has a son. And the Crown Prince rides off to Dung.
Yeah, and this is when he explains that he's the child of a concubine, right? Because I wrote that down. I was like, the Crown Prince was born to a concubine. Because he mentioned that that's the main reason why he was so afraid of dying in that castle, in the
Tell
kingdom.
me one Korean related drama that you've ever seen a crown prince not go through some shit.
Every
Like
single
ever. Like
one.
this,
Yeah.
I was
It's
watching
no
this, I
fun
was
if he has an easy life.
like, but like death, Like, it's not even like a little.
Oh,
not like,
that's because you don't watch historicals. Death is nothing.
Oh yeah, people be
Somebody's
dying
always
every
fighting
5
for their
seconds.
life.
If someone hasn't died from a sword fight in a historical, is it a historical? What show are you watching?
Exactly.
so right.
All right, so the Crown Prince and Wooyoung decide to go to Dongnae. We cut back to Lord Joe back at Hanyang. They capture the orderly that the Crown Prince and Wooyoung just got done talking to, interrogate him about the Crown Prince. Lord Joe orders his son to go capture the Crown Prince with an entire army of 50 to stop him before he gets to the hospital. We're back in Dongnae. 2 nurses are picking roots in the forest. One tells the other how she can't stop thinking about the wounds on the dead assistant. The 2 leave and return to the hospital where the patients are eating and happy with meat, which they didn't have before.
Hella sus.
Meat,
Very
y'all.
sus.
Meat.
When
Like
they were just complaining that they had no food.
none.
I knew immediately when I saw them eating. I knew it immediately. I was like, this man, somebody. I didn't know it was him, but I was like, somebody fed them human.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They find the rude ass patient in the kitchen serving soup, saying he caught a deer without the government's permission. The moral of the nurses and the patients is up, and when the nurses goes to fill another bowl, she finds a finger in the soup. She questions the rude patient to find out he has used the dead body of the assistant to feed everyone. The nurse thinks this is morally wrong. The rude ass patient, aka Youngshin, believes that everyone should survive no matter what. We cut to another room in the hospital where a child suddenly starts throwing up. Then another patient throws up and seemingly dies. The nurse runs outside to find the entire hospital laying on the ground, seemingly dead. Then all of a sudden we hear growling, retching noises. The nurse runs to help and then turns around to find the child she had just saw dead staring at her before she gets bitten. We cut to the nurse and the rude ass patient who are arguing in the shed when the scream sounds from outside. Surprise, surprise. Everyone who ate the soup has turned into zombies. The nurse and the Youngshin try to go out of the shed, but the door is blocked and blood starts leaking through it. They walk through the door and then we pan into the front where fire seems to be burning inside. We zoom in through a crack to be met with the face of a zombie. End episode 1.
Yes.
Woo.
That whole conversation that Youngshin and the nurse had about, is it right to eat humans? And I was like, are we really having this conversation?
But that's just how that's just
Yeah.
how big the wealth gap was in
Yeah.
Joseon.
Like
It's
I-
like they didn't have meat.
Yeah.
Like the idea of having any type of chicken, rat,
Yeah.
squirrel, all of that was just a foreign concept to people. So he was just like, am I going to let these sick people die? Or am I going to feed them this body?
But they saw the body was mauled. They saw that
Yeah.
it was like
Yeah.
falling apart.
But it's do or die out here in these.
My
Yeah.
thing was, isn't Youngshin he's a visitor to that infirmary. He doesn't live in that village, right? He's just a visitor.
He's a patient.
Okay, so my thing was like, you don't know that boy at all. All the villagers know him though, so you're gonna feed one of their family members to them. That was the issue. I was just like, it would be different if cannibalism is still wrong.
Disclaimer.
So disclaimer. But it would be different if it was some random stranger who was
Yeah.
not a part of that village. But it is the main physician's assistant who everybody knew, and you took it upon yourself to feed.
Well-
Nobody asked. No one asked.
No one.
The people were okay with their little scraps of water soup, whatever that was, boiled
I
water.
don't even know.
It looked like boiled water. That was all that was
But
in that pot.
that also tells you a lot about Youngshin's character. Like,
Yes.
what has this man been through for him to like not
He
hesitate?
just does not
He
care.
didn't wait for 5
He
minutes.
didn't wait. He
The
did
body
not
came and
wait.
he said,
Oh,
dinner is
that's-
here.
How does the body come in? Your first thought is, how do I what seasoning should I put in this pot?
Should we make it fried or
Yeah,
boiled?
some parsley, garlic.
Really, just he went quick with it.
He
like,
did no hesitation. Did not hesitate at all.
and
Right.
now look what happened. Which
We'll get to we'll get to it. Let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and start episode 2. We are at episode 2, somewhere on the road to Dongnae. The crown prince is complaining about only eating jerky. Spoiled brat told y'all ass to stay at home. In parentheses, Muyong scolds the crown prince for being rash. Crown prince, as a joke, threatened to kill his whole family. That's not a joke. The crown prince and Muyong are on the road to the hospital. The crown prince notices that it is too quiet. I have in parentheses in caps. Then turn around. They quickly arrive at the hospital and find it boarded up with makeshift spears on the walls. The place is spooky as hell, but do they turn around? No.
And this is where I have a problem. When you look at this scene, they arrive, they see that everything is boarded up. There is blood everywhere. there are talismans and signs on the village gates saying do not come in, but you decide that you want to either break the door or climb the wall. Why didn't you turn around and, I mean, not the crown prince because he's on the run. Is he on the run at this point?
Basically.
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe not the crown prince, but maybe his guard could go and get help. You know, why are you doing that by yourself?
Yeah.
That was my issue. Like, why didn't you get back up? Nobody's thinking logically in this entire series. It was only episode 2.
It was a very like white people. Let's go investigate a scary room.
I have thoughts about that we'll get to. The black people syndrome in me, I was like, why is nobody running? We'll get to it. So Mu-young tries to break down the door but can't, so he climbs the walls and opens the door for the crown prince. Inside, the hospital looks like all hell broke loose and there's blood and spirits everywhere. As they walk across one of the buildings, the crown prince's foot crashes through one of the planks, causing him to fall. While on the ground, they find the patients of the hospital under the crawl space of the house. They are not moving and they seem to be dead. They then, this is the stupidest, dumbest thing, they go find the magistrate at his office, have the soldiers pull the bodies out to realize that they are all tangled together, and then they proceed to take the bodies and move them to the magistrate's office. Crown Princess realizes that Dr. Lee's body is nowhere to be found.
How did they do that? How did they make the actors contort themselves in a way? It was so
CGI.
gross.
That's all I could think of.
It was so like, it wasn't like, to me it was just so gross how they were. It was just so gross how they were all together like that. Oh my god.
In my notes, I literally in all caps was like, "Don't pull them folks out. What are you doing?"
So we're at the magistrate's office now. Instead of working at the office, the officers and the noblemen are having a party when they are called back to their place of work. Come to find out, it's the new magistrate's first day at work. Wow.
Worst first day ever.
Right. A policeman reports to the magistrate that Young Shin is a suspect because he has been collecting bamboo trees for the past 2 days. Come to find out, his identification is from a man who died in war 3 years ago. Magistrate orders Young Shin to be found and brought in for questioning. Still no word of Dr. Lee, so the crown prince jumps into action looking for him. Cut to horses, aka the troops, coming after the crown prince, and then we cut back to the palace. Suddenly, we are back at the palace where soldiers are carrying something bloody and wrapped in a cloth to a lake where they dump it. The lake is filled with a bunch of bodies. Cut to the house of the chief scholar. They seem to have signed a covenant with the crown prince for upspurring the current king. Younger scholars are trying to persuade the chief scholar to give the evidence to Lord Joe since the crown prince ran away. A maid from the palace shows up and tells them about the corpse appearing in the king's palace and tells about all the strange rumors going around the palace. This gives them hope to bring the Haewon Joe family down. Now we're back in Dongdae. So the crown prince and Mu-young enter the slums searching for Dr. Lee. They find a herb supplier and ask him for info. The crown prince is being a rude asshole.
He really said, like, do the poor not have any like
manners?
I was like, sir.
Yeah.
The supplier has not seen Dr. Lee in months, but after getting some money, he tells them Sobi, a nurse who is a survivor, also tells them that she is probably at the frozen valley looking for a flower that can bring the dead back to life. That's like really random information for you to have, but okay. So the crown prince and Mu-young head to the frozen valley that stays cold all year round. They find Sobi, who tells them Dr. Lee could not avoid disaster. She seems out of it and says that everything is because of the resurrection plant. She comes back to her senses after they tell her they have moved the bodies.
As she should.
Cut back to Young Shin finding the hospital empty. That scene was I know they had to be like, y'all didn't just we had everything
they really
contained.
did.
Yeah.
And y'all fucked it up.
They messed it up real bad.
All right. So then we cut to the magistrate's office where the medical examiner is examining the bodies. Our boy Young Shin shows up, tells them they need to put the bodies back, but of course no one is listening to him. He admits to being the guy that they're looking for, and they try to arrest him. He begs them to believe him, and then tries to burn the bodies. Of course, people start putting the fires out. Finally, enough guards gather around to stop him, and then we cut back to the mountain. Sobi tries to tell the crown prince and Mu-young they need to hurry. then tells them that Dr. Lee saved a man in the Capitol with the resurrection flower. Tells them that they turned into monsters, and there's evidence in this in Dr. Lee's journal. CP commands Moyoung to go to the magistrate's office, and the CP heads back to the hospital by his damn self, looking for the journal. Crown Prince heads to the shed to find Commander Joe waiting for him. Where'd you get here? Honestly, the time, the length of time between things really makes no sense. How many days has it been since episode 1 and 2? I wish we had like a clear timeline, because to ride horses from the capital to Dongnae seems like it should take a while, but they're already there. So Commander Joe reads him his Miranda rights like a great officer. The Crown Prince questions if there is a king. Where's the resurrection flower? Where's the resurrection flower if his dad is dead? The commander says, of course he is alive. His mental state is just bad, but he'll be okay. Crown Prince questions the commander's thirst for power, and then the commander says, ask the Crown Prince, what has he ever done besides be born a prince? Here's I have in quotations, but same for you, my nigga. If you were not born as your father's son, how would you ever have the power you have? You wouldn't.
Like, none.
This is the pot calling the kettle black. I need you to chill. So the Crown Prince confirms Commander Joe's accusations about looking at him like they are insects. He says, and I quote, yes, you're insects that are making the people angry and turning them against the crown. Our first sword fight. Crown Prince says, you said I was lucky. Nah, bitch, I was chosen with power. My father was bestowed upon me, and I will punish you. Commander is obviously better at sword fighting than the stay-at-home Crown Prince. Though the Crown Prince does draw the first blood, the fight continues until rumbling sounds from somewhere in the room. Soldiers get near a box, open it, and a zombified Dr. Lee pops out. Cut back to the magistrate office. The sun is setting. Youngshin is still being interrogated. He keeps telling people they need to run, but again, no one is listening. They imprison Sobi, the nurse, and Youngshin, the hunter. Thank you, we need them alive. The sun officially sets. A jester from the party says, it moves. We cut back to the palace.
See, I put here, if I was the jester or whoever that was, who he noticed the body moving, like before they cut to that, like before they cut to a different scene, he noticed it and then they cut back. I would have left. That would have been, because when Youngshin came and was saying the corpses are coming back to life, I would have left then, honestly. Right. Because the way he looked when he came in, why would you not believe him? I feel like he'd been through everything.
War. And my man was had been through
distraught.
It. Oh.
Like, you really think that this one man, and including Sobi, had the power to kill all of these people in the state that they were? Like,
exactly.
Really attack them like that?
Like, y'all all saw how the corpses looked. You saw the bite marks all on the corpses. Why did you not believe them when they told you that they were eating each other? It's clear to see that they were trying to eat each other. So if I was him and he noticed the body twitch, that's when I would have promptly turned around and walked away.
The medical examiner even pointed out that these teeth marks look like human marks.
Exactly. Human marks. I would have been gone. Like, I would have left.
That's probably what they thought it was, Sobi and Youngshin. Because
like they just gonna
the
that
teeth
is
marks,
too
which
many
makes
bodies.
They're just biting the bodies and just leaving them. Like, that makes no sense.
They all dum-dums. All those people in power, the magistrate, they all just
nobody's thinking. And then also in this scene, wasn't Youngshin, before they imprisoned him, he was trying to burn the bodies, was he not?
Yes, he was.
I thought that was hilarious because he tried so hard. Like, he grabbed the torch and he was just like lighting everyone up. He was like, no, I gotta save everybody, but they still didn't believe him and imprisoned him.
All right. So now we're at the palace. Lord Joe and the Queen are in the king's chamber, standing over his bed. He looks like he is sleeping. A royal doctor is examining, who says that the king is dead. Lord Joe says, and I quote, what are you talking about? He is alive. He says, then he continues, the king must stay alive for 1 month until the queen has her baby. The doctor is scared. Then Lord Joe says, don't worry. Just do what you did 3 years ago. Cut back to the king's face, where he obviously looks like a zombie and is chained to his bed. Now we're back at the magistrate office. Jester points out that a body moved, finally getting everyone's attention, and it's alive. But do people run? No, they stand and watch. A soldier is ordered to take a look at the body. He cautiously lifts the covers with his spear, causing everyone anxiety. And the body is moving for sure, and yet people are still not running. Even when the body has risen off the fucking ground, Jesus Christ, I'm reading my notes verbatim. The husband of the zombie walks over to her, then gets bit, then gets mauled by several other zombies, and these people are still not moving.
That whole woman moved up in a whole reverse Matrix move, and everyone was just like, the man was like, "Wife, my wife," and I was like, "Sir, that's your wife is gone. She's about
gone.
to eat your face.
She's real gone. She's real gone." And so Mu Young makes a run for it. The only man with sense at this point. Yongshin breaks out of his cell.
Wait. Is this? Have they? No, it hasn't happened. The guy that was in the cell with them attacked.
Oh
No.
no, that's not yet. That's
Not yet.
the other part.
We're getting there. We're
Tell me
getting there.
when
We're
it
getting
comes
there.
up.
We're getting there. We're getting there.
Okay.
Because that was covered comedically. We're getting there. We're jumping ahead of ourselves. Sorry. All right. Now we're back at the hospital. The soldiers open the locked chest. Stop doing that. I have in parentheses. Zombie Dr. Lee pops out, bites one of them right away. Again, everyone is standing around watching. Do y'all all freeze response? I said, do y'all all have a freeze response? No flight, no fight.
Just freeze. That's all
Just
it is.
freeze. Commander Joe stabs the zombie, but of course that doesn't do shit. Zombie goes for the commander's throat. Soldier stabs zombie in the guts, still doesn't do shit. Soldier that has been bitten rises from the dead, only falls after his neck has been halfway sliced by the commander. Commander lets his guard down for 2 seconds, only to be bitten by Dr. Lee, and then turns into a zombie and tries to kill the Crown Prince, who then beheads him. Crown Prince leaves the hospital, heads for the magistrate office, gets to the shore to see the city is being burned to the ground in episode 2.
A lot happened in episode 2.
The frustration.
Those last 10 minutes, it was just.
It was crazy.
It was
Yeah.
wild. It was wild. So we're just gonna jump right into episode 3.
Before that, I would just like
Yes.
to say, like, the comic relief in this show is so great.
Yes.
Like, I really hate scary stuff. I cannot watch anything scary, but the way they film things is bearable to watch. Like, if you're somebody who does not like horror, you can still watch this.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Don't be put off by the 2 beheadings at the beginning of the episode 1.
Yeah.
Just know that it doesn't really get that much more graphic after that.
Yeah. And related to your point, all the people who play zombies do a fantastic job.
Oh my God, they're so
they
good.
each deserve a personal Oscar because they put their whole backs literally into these roles, from foaming at the mouth to the screaming. They do a phenomenal job.
Oh, they do a great job. If you guys really want to see great makeup effects that just look real and terrifying, we highly recommend. All right. Episode 3. Open in the magistrate's office. The magistrate hiding underneath the floorboards of the building while the sound of zombies running around thuds above him. Then a zombie sees them and they have to crawl away. That was hilarious. That was such a funny scene. Them crawling away from the zombie, and then the fat guy gets stuck and then he gets turned into a zombie. As they run away, we get to see how many people have turned into zombies and the chaos that has ensued after the last episode. The magistrate and 2 guards run into the jail cell and lock themselves up. The first attempt into the cell fails, but the second attempt, he enters into the cell with Sobi in it. One of the guards gets bitten by a zombie, and now they're trapped in the cell with a zombie. Sobi, being the experienced badass, calmly grabs a sword and shoves it through the zombie's neck. Comedic relief scene where the 2 prisoners are trapped together on one plank. One gets bitten by a zombie and tries to eat the other. Now, let me explain to you what this plank is. It's like it's a wooden board with 2 holes in it that are strapped to these 2 prisoners' necks. And one of them gets bitten by a zombie. And so they're now like 2 feet away from each other, but the zombie can't get to him, so they're just kind of like running around the cell.
For
hours.
The whole time this is happening, I'm wondering how the person who is still alive, how his neck has not broken. Like, how is your neck not have? How does it not snap yet?
That is crazy. That's crazy. And so, cut to a zombie going after a child when suddenly a spear comes out of nowhere, stabs the zombie through the head. Yongshin, who escaped earlier in episode 2, has been helping survivors reach higher ground away from the zombies. Now we are learning some of their characteristics. The zombies cannot get to higher ground. They can't open doors. All of a sudden, a woman starts screaming, "Save me." She has a baby strapped to her back.
This was a hard one.
Oh, yes. Of course, her screams draw the zombies' attention, and Young Shin can't pull her up in time, but one of the survivors saves her baby before she is dropped into the horde.
That part was crazy because all the people behind him were just like,
Drop her,
drop her, leave her. They didn't even hesitate.
Forget them.
Like, at least take the baby, people.
Yeah, but like, were they wrong? Like,
honestly, because if you think about it, think about it, all right? Babies make noise. They can't control the noise they make. So imagine you're trying to hide from zombies who are attracted to noise, and the baby just starts screaming. What exactly? What do you do?
And my biggest thing in films like this or movies like this is just like, it's so much harder when children are involved. It's so much harder. Like, I understand, but like, oh my god,
the future of humanity, and y'all are just like, yeet, throwing out the door.
So then we cut outside to see the noblemen running away. Okay, we cut outside to see my computer did it something. So we cut outside to see the noblemen running away from the zombies on horses, leading to see the rest of the damage of the city. Zombies only attack people, not animals. The peasants are attacking the noblemen. I hate noble people so much. The horde continues busting down doors. Some even get caught on fire and are still chasing people. We cut to the fishermen watching the nobles ride away from the city, only to be attacked moments later. We cut to the slums, which are gross, and a kid zombie turns another kid into a zombie, and chaos continues. A son gets bitten by a zombie in front of his father before attacking him. A mother stores her child away in a box before she gets bitten and then attacks her other child. Zombies can't open doors. That's my other note of weird. Okay. Now we're with the prince somewhere in the middle of Dongnae by himself with no... Did he even have a sword? He had a sword. He had a sword at least. We cut to the prince watching the city burn and a zombie on a boat trying to get to him, but it can't get in the water, so zombies can't swim. Peasants running from a small horde are heading right for the crown prince, so we are running again! ! Arrows off screen cause the zombies to fall over themselves, which means our boy Muyang has come to save the day. Stamina sucks, would have died if not for Muyang. The crown prince really should have died earlier, but you know.
Yeah, he got lucky.
He did. The two barely survived this isolated attack, but the crown prince has already found the trick that beheading is their only answer. The two decide to head for the barracks, only to find out that the nobles have locked the gates and won't let anyone in. They are even shooting arrows at those who are trying to climb the wall to safety. Since the nobles won't open the door, the horde comes and turns the entire group into zombies. Crown Prince and Muyang survive, run away before jumping off a cliff. Zombies can't swim. Why do I have this on here so many times? They can't swim. They cannot swim.
Stress, they cannot swim.
Exactly.
But, they cannot swim.
Hold on one second. So back to the wall scene.
Mm-hmm.
At that point, I honestly believe the villagers should have just knocked the entire wall down. Just knock the wall down and let everybody die.
Oh.
But
yeah. You wanted the show to end then.
Yeah, just end it right there. Because like if you're not going to open the gate and there's more of them than there is of you, just push the wall down. Then you'll get what you deserve then.
We're talking about the scene when they're like, when they close the gate and the people are like, let us in.
Yeah, let us in. Yes.
Yeah, I was like, just let them in. I was like, they're all going to turn into zombies and then you're really going to be fucked up because then you can't even get out.
And then
at
that point, wasn't there like an extended amount of time where they were basically spending all of their time arguing over whether or not to open it? When they could have just opened it, everybody could have got in and they could have closed it. By the time they got done arguing, the horde had already came.
Yeah.
And then after the horde comes and turns everyone else into zombies, they've got double the zombies.
Exactly. Nobody thinks. The third episode, nobody is
rational thought
still.
Is not a part of this drama. All right, so the Muyang and the Crown Prince jump off a cliff and they make it to land. Muyang says, and I quote, "The female physician's words were true." No shit, Sherlock. We've been trying to tell you this since episode 2. That, oh my God. Another cut of the burning city. Then we cut to the palace. Cut to the palace where the zombie king is eating a maid while Lord Cho, oh my God, and the queen watch. Lord Cho says, "The baby within you will be the king of this nation." We haven't even got to that part. Don't spoil your thoughts. Okay.
Not that. I think we should address for people who've maybe not seen it or watching this that the queen is Lord Cho's daughter.
She is. Yeah. Yes. So the Commander Joe, who has died now, and the queen are both Lord Cho's children.
Yes.
Lord Cho says orders for the king to have food and drink whenever he needs it. Then the queen makes a face, looks down at her shoe to find blood on it.
Where did this blood come from? No one knows.
No one knows.
Mysterious blood.
Mysterious blood. All right, we are back at ground zero. The survivors have either reached higher ground, attics, or have blocked themselves off in jails and barricades. The dude attached to the zombie in the prison is still suffering. Then the sun comes up and all the zombies scatter to a hiding place out of the sun. Now we're back at the palace. A maid is putting makeup on the king to make him look alive.
That whole can I just for a second, just for a second.
I have notes on that too.
Because I like who, why, like what was the reason? What is the purpose?
I was
The
like,
man is dead. Like he's not just dead, he's dead.
I was like, not the powder on the king's veiny ass, cracked ass, bloodstained face. I was like,
It's like the way the
purpose?
amount of decay that his face is through there
There's
still.
no face to put
And
makeup
then
on.
she's still trying to powder. Like, she's still trying it. She's shaking the whole time, about to cry and pee her pants, but she's still trying it. It's like, at that point, who's
Oh my
going to see the
God.
king's face?
Oh my god.
Who's going to see the king's face who doesn't know that he's a zombie? Just leave it alone.
The folks that are gonna see him last when they get eaten.
Yeah,
that's it.
does it matter? Does it matter that he's covered in Fenty before he kills you? What?
Hey, gotta have the face beat before you start
Like,
eating
what?
folks.
oh my
All right, then we cut to the queen's quarters, where she is changing her clothes because they are bloody on them. A maid takes the dirty clothes out to be burned. And if you watch closely, you will see that there's a pair of underwear in the burned clothes at 3114 that have blood in it. AKA, the queen just had her fucking period.
Also, the way that the other lady who came to burn the clothes told the other servant to leave was so rude.
She
For
was
no
like-
reason. She was really rude.
All right, we're back in Dongdae. The little girl in the trunk survives and walks around the remains of her village after the first night of death. Those that survived the magistrate office come out to see the damage, including the bitch-ass nobles that were at the fort. The zombies are in plain sight under the floorboards of buildings and such. The noble assholes come back to his boss, the magistrate, and blames everything on Young Shin. He ain't wrong.
He's not. I mean, technically, he's not wrong.
But you still can't blame this entire thing on him. If y'all would just have listened, none of this shit would happen. But, you know, I digress. Sobi saves Youngshin by telling the truth, leaving out the fact that he was the one that fed them human. Asshole is trying to get Sobi and Youngshin punished. Asshole is the head clerk, the guy next to the magistrate. We're going to call him head clerk from now on. When Youngshin points out that they need to get rid of the bodies before sunset, they say bury them. Youngshin says we got to burn them or behead them. Enter annoying ass Mother Noble, who says it's against their beliefs to cremate the bodies, even though she witnessed them killing people.
Ma'am.
So what do the magistrate and the asshole do? They agree with her.
Ma'am.
Like it,
Sirs.
like in the time where the apocalypse is literally upon you, like it's right at your front door, and you're concerned about the zombies.
Desecrating the bodies. She's like,
concerned
don't
about-
desecrate
Like
the
she
bodies.
didn't see the bloodthirsty zombies just
You
attack
just
everyone.
watched. It literally showed her in the previous scene at like the scene where they're all being attacked, the villagers being attacked. It showed her hiding with the other villagers, scared for her life. But the next day, you're worried about desecrating the bodies.
Your
I
son?
literally wrote. She said don't dare desecrate my child's body. Like that corpse isn't going to reanimate as soon as it starts getting dark. Ma'am, you are worried about the wrong son.
Your son gone, ma'am. That son would eat your face.
You were worried about the wrong. That's what we're titling this episode. You were worried about the wrong son.
Because when the sun sets, it is over for you. You are old. You can't run. You are the weakest link in this bunch. They should leave you.
That's what I said. I said let her die.
Like literally, just let her die. She literally was complaining about proper burial rites and everything like that. Y'all almost died. Like truly worried about the wrong son. She's truly.
Oh my god.
That's amazing.
Oh my god. Oh, y'all are both worried about the wrong son.
And these dumb like noble people are just like, I guess she's right.
Wait,
I
and
guess.
Agree with her, yes.
And then isn't this when they say, burn the peasants' bodies first or something like?
I have this. So let's continue.
Priorities.
They decide to burn the peasants and bury the nobles very deep in the ground. This is my favorite part of the scene. Then enters the crown prince, who punches the head clerk in the face,
Immediately.
making everybody happy.
He doesn't say anything. He just punches him dead in his
Walks
face.
in and just stalks him dead in his face. And I was just like, I love this man.
Make him king now.
My king. He calls the asshole, the head clerk, vile for locking the gates and reveals his identity as the crown prince. I love how he just threw his badge on the ground. He was like, I'm the crown prince, bitch. Now what?
Like he tried to tell you yesterday when y'all were shooting arrows at him.
He commands that all bodies, noble or peasant, be found and burned while survivors are transported out of Dongnay, and that the signals are sent to the other barracks for backup. We hop back to the capital. Scholars are meeting in secret. They talk about rumors about the weird shit happening in the palace. They decide they need to find out the truth by going to the king's palace to see that he's alive. Enter Lord An. This is where they start talking about Lord An, a scholar who has been mourning his mom for the last 3 years in his hometown.
Sangju.
In Sangju. And he says if he makes a move, then all other scholars and subjects of the land will follow him. So Lord An is a powerful dude. We only get to see we cut to a scene of him bowing in front of his grave. He looks out over the horizon and he sees the smoke signal that's heading to Sangju. So then we cut back to Lord Joe. This was funny. An informant comes to tell Lord Joe about the chief scholar sending his message to Lord like things that literally just transpired minutes ago. Just get back to Lord Joe with immediately. It's crazy how powerful this dude is. After hearing the news, Lord Joe decides to make no moves. The messenger mentions that Lord An has saved the country, and if he teams up with the crown prince, it could be dangerous, which Lord Joe responds with, Lord An is someone who can never oppose me. Did they used to be allies?
Never.
Yeah.
They don't explain.
We don't have answers. Answers is something we don't have in this drama. We're back at Dongnay. The magistrate, another comic relief scene. The magistrate calls Sobi into his office. She immediately gets on her knees and admits to her wrongdoings. But the magistrate tells her everything is okay and says he wants to pay her back for keep her by his side. Sobi is a fabulous dunce.
This whole scene was one of my favorites because it was like, this man is trying to be romantic and trying to be like, because he tried to pull that line. I think he said, I'll repay you until my hair turns white. Like he's trying to be like,
keep you by my side.
Yeah. He's trying to be all romantic. Like this is Romeo and Juliet, sir. And I'm like, sir,
and then
she saved you because you were like, and this is not the time, sir. This is really not the time.
Did he ask her to marry him in a really roundabout way? That's what
he never proposed marriage. He never said marriage. I like you. I love you.
Said,
he assumes that she said yes.
Mm-hmm.
And so Sobi, being the fabulous dunce she is, asked him if he needs a doctor. I said nah, sis. He was trying to propose. Sobi asked to take his pulse and diagnose him with gonorrhea.
This man got gonorrhea.
She was like, do you have issues urinating? I think it's gonorrhea. He was like, huh? My gonorrhea?
Like full STD.
All right. And then has gonorrhea. Muyang interrupts them and asks Sobi to go see the crown prince. The head clerk, aka asshole, reports to the magistrate that they don't have enough boats to transport all the citizens and that they will be ready to leave in 2 hours. They are also having troubles finding the bodies and need to make a decision before sunset. We cut to Youngshin and Sobi, who are back at the hospital. We cut to Crown Prince and Sobi, who are back at the hospital. Sobi sees blood on the door shed, and we flash back to the night of D-Day. Blood is seeping through the door, and Youngshin goes to open it, finding everyone turn into zombies. A zombie runs for Sobi, but Youngshin knocks it down.
He trucks him like a linebacker.
It pulls him back to the shed. Right before he closes the door, Dr. Lee enters. Dr. Lee is mumbling. It wasn't like this in the capital. The assistant from the episode 1, when he was bitten, got sick and died as a human. But when people get bitten by the people that ate the assistant, they turn into zombies. The disease has changed. Also hinting at a different case where it wasn't like this. Dr. Lee says he can fix the disease, but then Youngshin realizes he has been bitten and he turns into a zombie. We cut back to the present. Where the crown prince is reading Dr. Lee's journal about how he brought the king back to life, aka intro to every episode. CP reads, the cold valley that is foggy for 4 seasons of the year, The plant with purple flower that blooms in early autumn will resurrect a person who has died. Crown Prince asks Sobi if she went to the valley from episode 2 looking for the flower. She says she did, but she couldn't find the flower. So as of right now, there is no way to fix this disease. Muyoung enters, Sobi leaves, and Muyoung tells the CP that he can't find Commander Joe's head. He then insinuates that if someone brings Lord Joe his son's head, more hell will break loose. Like we aren't already in the 7th realm of hell. CP says he isn't afraid of Lord Joe, and now that he has justification for all his treason, all he has to do now is gather support, classic historical drama style. Muyoung asks for what justification, and we cut to another flashback. A voice says, "Stay alive," to the young crown prince. Turns out it's his father, the king, who says you must stay alive. Back in the present, the crown prince confirms that the king's death to Muyoung and explains how Lord Cho and the queen used the resurrection of plants on the king. And Sobi is evidence and can testify for that. He then decides that they will go to Lord An in Sungju. We cut to the dock where the nobles are boarding the one boat they have. Cut back to the magistrate's office where Young Shin is in jail and a prisoner who was attached to the zombie earlier is finally free. Update of the zombie. He's free of the zombie. The plank is still around his neck. Someone yells that the boat is leaving from outside. A guard throws Young Shin the keys as they run for the dock. The nobles have left the crown prince and the peasants to die in Dongdae. When the magistrate asks the head clerk if this is okay, he says that it would have been impossible to burn all the bodies before sunset, so they did good to run away. I have hit another bullet. Should have burned some and then threw the rest in the ocean. It's right there.
And he also, the head clerk lies to the magistrate and tells him that the crown prince is not with the peasants at the dock. He has safely gotten away. Which doesn't make sense. But
magistrate asks the head clerk if Prince got out of Dongdae safely. He confirms yes, that's a lie. The head guard asks if the head guard asked the head clerk if it's okay to leave the crown prince behind, and the head clerk says, "Just follow me and there will always be a road to survival." Cut to the belly of the ship where the noble mother stands in front of a locked chest, ominously.
A large locked chest.
Yes, cut back to shore. End episode 3. We've done a lot. We've been here. This is 50 minutes. We've done a lot. This is a lot. This is just a lot. Wow. We were okay, and then we're not okay, and now we're really not okay.
Every single time, you know that meme on Twitter or something, here we go again.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Every single time the zombie attacks happen, I put that in my notes. I was like, oh shit, here we go again.
Here we go again.
And so much happened in 3 episodes. That's actually crazy how much happened in 3 episodes.
Oh my god, right.
I give it to the writers for pacing this drama really well to where there's not a dull moment. And it's constant chaos.
And not a single episode is over an hour.
Yeah.
Not one.
It's all, well, I mean, they're all like 50 minutes exactly. 52 minutes.
Yeah. And then like 4 minutes of credits.
It doesn't feel, but the way that it's paced, it does not feel that long. Yeah. You can start the drama and you can watch the whole thing and feel like you've only been sitting there for maybe like an hour or so. Yeah. Like it goes by really fast.
It really does. And the way they just cut off episodes though, you're just like, what? It ended? It's over?
What do you mean it ended? What's going to happen next?
What do you mean it's ended? All right, do we want to take a break?
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to take a break. We'll be right back after these messages that we don't have.
Not yet.
But if you share this podcast with your friends, maybe we'll get some.
We can get, HelloFresh.
Yeah. and NordVPN.
Help us out a little bit.
All right, we'll be back.